All right, guys, I want to share with you a one watch story. So, for my day job, I meet and talk to a lot of people. And I met this guy. I'm not going to give his name or anything like that, but there's a bunch of story going on. So, I was doing my job and I noticed he was wearing a Rolex Submariner. So, once I got, talking to him a little bit and doing my job and everything, I said, "Hey, nice Submariner." And then we started talking about that a little bit, and he gave me some backstory on this. Now, I'm not super good at knowing which the Rolex model numbers and everything, so excuse me if I screw this up, but um, and I might even screw up his story. But essentially, from what I understand, as of now, he's had this watch for 26 years. So right away, this is something that a lot of us, and if you are regular on my channel, you probably are slightly watch obsessive, and you, like many of us, have thought about a one watch concept. Well, this man did it, and he did it to the extreme. So I want to share a couple of the stories that he shared with me just in our brief encounter. So basically, he's military. He served quite a while, but in basically the early 90s, he was sergeant, and he was, I believe, probably in the Army, and he was getting ready to switch roles. So he was jumping over to an ATF special agent job. And before he did that, him and his wife had talked about him purchasing a one watch. He wanted a nice watch, right, to commemorate his service and everything. So, and I don't know if you still can or not. If there's any military guys watching, let me know if this is still a thing. But he had told me back then, which I think had to have been around 93, 94, there was an exchange, or I think you guys call it the PX or something, but there was an exchange, and it's like a military store, and they had the Rolex Submariner date in there, and I think it's the 16610, I think, for that era, and the price on it was like, I mean, I was trying to figure out what they cost back in 92-ish, and they were around $5,000 retail is what they were being listed for us regular civilians. But in this catalog, I'm pretty sure he said it was listed for 2,600. I may not be remembering that number correctly, but it was a lot of money then. I mean, heck, it's a lot of money now, but it was certainly a lot of money then on his salary as a sergeant. So him and his wife had talked about it, and he went ahead and did it. So now he has his one watch, right? So he moved on. He did a career with the ATF as a special agent, and he was involved in all kinds of things. He allowed me to look him up and everything like that. And there were some pretty crazy stories that he was involved in. Early on in his, when he first started with the ATF, there was a thing, if you guys remember the Waco Branch Davidian, like the cult thing with Dave Koresh and all that stuff. He was slightly involved in that even. But later on in his career at the ATF, he told me a one story that kind of stuck with me. He was in a plane crash, and this was all ATF agents on the aircraft, and everybody survived. But obviously, the plane landed, and there was problems, and there was a fire. When he came to, he said, when he came to, he noticed the wing was severely damaged amongst the rest of the aircraft, and there was a little bit of fire going on. He's like, "Hey, I have to get the heck out of here." And there was already some first responders there pulling him out and everything. But he said he remembered looking down, and the watch was still on his wrist, his Rolex, right? But it had busted somewhere in the links. I don't know if it was the spring bar or if it was one of the links had busted, but the watch was still sitting there, and he noticed that. But before he left the aircraft, he grabbed it like this, ripped it off his wrist, threw it in his pocket. So it's pretty cool that he had the state of mind to do that, because, otherwise that watch would have been perished up in that aircraft. I'm sure it burned up. So he escaped with his watch. So now crazy, crazy experiences and stories that he had with this watch, and he's still wearing this. So when I ran into him on my job, he was doing a remodel. He's like building this deck and everything and hammering on it. And I told him, I said, it kind of reminded me of Chip Gaines from that TV show where they redo these houses and stuff like that. And Chip wears his Rolex loose and everything like this on the bottom of his wrist, and he it has to be like pounded to heck. And then later on is when I discovered who this guy actually was, and I couldn't help but think, I'm like, this guy must have been giggling inside that I mentioned Waco, Texas and stuff like that. And he has like a far different experience from Waco, Texas. But I didn't know that when I was talking to him. I discovered that later on. So pretty cool. So anyway, you know, he picked it up at a military discount, has owned it for 26 years, still wearing it. We didn't talk about how many times he's had it serviced. I'm sure he's had it serviced at least once. He did say that the bezel on his sub had popped off many times. I think at least 3 to 4 times where he's had to have somebody reattach the bezel. So it's not like he's babying this watch. He's wearing the heck out of it. And now, you know, after he left the ATF, he did some private security and stuff like that. And he said he never wore the watch when he traveled to most parts, especially over in China and stuff like that. He wouldn't wear his Rolex. He would wear a G-Shock. So really his one watch was 2 watches, but he didn't realize this, but basically he fell under a category that I coined where you know, G-Shock squares certainly don't count. So I think he has that same philosophy. He just didn't realize it. So when he was traveling, he didn't want to compromise the Rolex anymore, so he would just wear a G-Shock. So, but now that's not happening, so he's wearing that. So it couldn't help me. It couldn't help but affect me and what I've decided to do. And I don't expect anybody else to do this, but I am going to do a new challenge for September. I am going to wear my Tudor Black Bay 41 for the entire month of September. And I'm going to wear it doing everything, and whatever happens, happens. This watch, I paid $2,820 for it. And again, that's not, you know, a low dollar amount. That's not an affordable watch. That's a lot of money, right? So, and I do manual labor, so there's a good chance that this thing's going to get beat up a little bit. But I'm at that point in my watch journey where it's time for me to let go of the saving this watch and preserving it. Like, these things are meant to be worn. And the gentleman I met, he's 100% proof of it. I mean, that watch had been through far more than any of us can ever do. Actually, he told me he actually went diving with it and has been 200 meters deep with that watch. So these watches can handle it, guys. It's time to wear your watch. Stop saving them for the next person. Wear the dang watch. And, you know, can you do one watch? Can you do one watch even for a week? I'm going to do it for a month. I'm 100% going to do it. I'm still going to have other watches, and I'm going to wear other watches. This is just something that I need to do. I want to do at this point in my journey. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to share that story with you, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next vid. Also, I did look up what that watch, his watch, the 16610, I think in good condition or serviced. If you go to like Bob's Watches, that watch sells for like $8,895. So the watch has done nothing but go up in value, but it doesn't matter to him because that's not what that watch means to him. So that's another thing to focus on. I know a lot of people get hung up on, well, how much is it going to be worth, or is it a retained value? Who cares, guys? Who cares? Just wear it. It's a mechanical thing. It's not going to last forever. It's going to need work. And who cares what it's worth? Do you like it? Buy it, wear it, own it, live it. I'll see you guys in the next vid.